This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. You can also find our live event in Indianapolis every year at ShocktoberInIrvington.com. We do that every October. You can check the feed for our live episodes regarding it. And then there was one other thing and also follow us on Letterboxd at Obsessive Viewer, Obsessive Tiny, and at I am Mike White. Letterboxd, of course, is a really great kind of social network for film lovers. You can track the movies you watch. You can write reviews, post reviews and ratings and everything, and interact with people, comment on reviews. It's a really robust and fulfilling for film geeks website, and that's actually also kind of the theme of this episode is Letterboxd. We're doing another Letterboxd Potpourri. Tiny, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I forgot to say hi like you usually do. Sorry.
Yeah,
we've just
I noticed.
Sounds. Yeah. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a while since we recorded.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
Had a couple weeks off.
Yeah. We tried to get an episode recorded, and my apologies to the listeners and also specifically to Robert in Utah who wanted us to review, Mandy. He requested that me and Mike review it. We were going to do a review of Mandy and the new Halloween, but Tiny, you were on call at work and you got a call an hour before we were recording.
Yep.
And then also Mike, he has 2 kids. He wasn't feeling well anyway. And I was just hey, if you want to just record some other time, it's fine.
Yeah. I had 18 hours of overtime that week. So
jeez.
It's a busy week.
Wow. And for all of our listeners who may have had 18 hours of overtime, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/donate, where you can be a Patreon subscriber or donate via PayPal, or go to tpublic.com and buy some of our merch. So Tiny, we're going to do Letterboxd Potpourri, which do you want to explain how that works before we get into our news segment and then the Letterboxd Potpourri?
Sure. Well, Letterboxd is the app and software we use to track our movies. Mm-hmm. And so Letterboxd Potpourri is where we, bring up anything we've been watching lately, that we logged on our Letterboxd accounts.
Yep. Oh yeah. And we take turns basically asking each other about a title, right? We're doing that, right?
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Yeah. Is that, do you want to do it that way?
I didn't realize we were doing that way.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. It's been a while since we did a Letterboxd Potpourri.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering why you had that pulled up and not my Letterboxd. Do you mind doing it that way?
That's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I completely forgot that's how we do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I think the last Letterboxd Potpourri was just me and Mike.
Okay.
So while Tiny's bringing up my Letterboxd, I do have a couple of news items to talk about. First of all, AMC released they did oddly enough that this news segment is both AMC related in a weird roundabout way. So AMC, the movie theater chain, sent out an email to all of its A-List subscribers, and then the news kind of ran with it too. Basically saying kind of giving a progress report on AMC A-List and saying that it's, I think they said it's here to stay. So they're sticking with it. And they said that they're in the, I think 4 months, since it came out, they've already gotten 500,000 subscribers. So 500,000, which is their projected membership rate after 1 year. So having achieved that in 4 months is a huge step for them. They also announced that all of the features are staying the same for the time being, just kind of giving everyone an update, saying that, there's not going to be any changes. They are going to be increasing the price in certain markets. So there's I think like 10 states that they're raising the price like a few bucks. So instead of $19.95, it's going to be like $21.95. Indianapolis is not one of those markets. It's like Chicago, New York, so like bigger cities like that, I think. Is that mine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The November. Yeah. Duh. I was like, have I really, because I'm still in October, in my mind. But, so that's all good, but the thing I want to point out is in the email, I'm going to read a couple excerpts from it because it seems like they, as the kids on the internet say these days, they were, quote unquote, throwing shade at MoviePass. An excerpt from the email is, with other subscription services facing severe operational and financial headwinds, some had incorrectly speculated that the valuable benefits to you of A-List might not endure. To the contrary, we believe that A-List is a runaway success for AMC, and you'll likely be pleased to learn that AMC Stubbs A-List is here to stay. Which is great. Like, that's awesome. And they continue to do that. Let me find where it actually says that. Guess without saying, looking ahead. Okay. Looking ahead, we continue to believe that you are entitled to know what you can expect from us with reliability and predictability. Accordingly, we intend to run A-List with transparency and clarity. To that end, we will fully honor our initial 12-month guarantee protecting you against any increases in pricing or reductions in benefits, and that same blah, blah, blah. Basically saying that they're never going to suddenly increase like prices or anything without like 3 months worth of like notice. Kind of just saying, because MoviePass was doing that like on a daily basis. They were changing their service. But it's interesting because the 12-month guarantee is that when you sign up, like the price that you sign up at is guaranteed for the first 12 months. And it's important to note that that's not like 12 months from the start of A-List. It's like 12 months from the start of your subscription. Mm-hmm. So Tiny, if you were to sign up for A-List right now, you would be guaranteed the $19.95 price each month from now until November of 2019.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a nice feature.
Yeah, totally. So that's that piece of news. And then, we won't really talk that much about it because honestly, I haven't really read that much about it, although there's not really much to read about it. But, speaking of AMC, I don't think are they two different companies? AMC, the TV?
I think so.
I think so too, in the theater. But, even then, AMC is not really connected to this per se, but news broke a couple days ago. This episode's going to go up next week, so it's going to be kind of a little bit outdated. But there is a Breaking Bad movie in the works, and the reason I say that AMC won't likely be involved is because Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are Sony television products that they air on AMC because that's just the distributor.
Right.
There's another piece of news that I could ask you about. But anyway, also regarding AMC. But anyway, this Breaking Bad movie, it's interesting. Like I haven't really rewatched Breaking Bad for a couple of years now, but apparently the movie is an idea that Vince Gilligan has that is set after Breaking Bad and involves the character of Jesse, played by Aaron Paul, who would return for the movie. Mm-hmm.
It's confirmed, right? Like it's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Yeah. Okay.
Tiny, how do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? And have you watched any of Better Call Saul?
Have not watched Better Call Saul, and even when it comes to Breaking Bad, I have only seen each episode of that show once.
Oh, interesting.
I've never rewatched that show. But funnily enough, my brother, he works for a plastic recycling company. Mm-hmm. And they get a lot of DVDs, Blu-rays, CDs, video games, where they recycle the plastic because they're made entirely out of plastic, right? The packaging and everything. Mm-hmm. And so occasionally he will like see something interesting and he'll like grab it and just give it to me.
I was wondering, like, because that's pretty awesome.
And he got me the oil barrel.
Are you serious?
For free. I mean, it's free.
That's who would throw that away?
Well, it's like, I don't know, it's I don't understand how it works, but like, you know, if they like overproduce a certain number of,
that's interesting.
like it's not actually thrown away. Like my brother's company actually purchases it.
Okay.
And it's just funny you just mentioned Sony. Sony has a giant plant out in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Oh, really?
Where they make DVDs, Blu-rays and stuff, and it's one of the big customers that my brother's company purchases. Like, I don't know if stuff they just overproduce or like if they like screw up on one of their productions, it's like they'll use it as scrap or whatever. And so they actually buy it from them. It's not like they just completely throw it away, but
they accidentally mass produce a collection of Breaking Bad Blu-rays that has just a drawing of a dick on it.
Yeah. But he got me a bunch of Ken Burns DVDs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, some other stuff like that. But yes, I got the oil barrel one.
That's awesome. For our listeners, the oil barrel that he's referring to is it's this limited edition Blu-ray set that I bought when the series ended. It's a collection of all the seasons on Blu-ray, and it's in the shape of the packaging is in the shape of an oil barrel, which has significance to the plot of the show.
Right. But as far as my enthusiasm for this new project, I mean, okay, let's go. I mean, I'm not overly excited for it. I think it's just because that finale and the conclusion to the show was so conclusive.
Yeah.
And satisfyingly conclusive. Fantastic finale. So I don't feel the need to revisit it at all. But anytime Aaron Paul is reading Vince Gilligan's words, I will be there.
Totally.
So,
and I'm kind of the same way. Like to your point, that's the reason why I haven't really watched any of Better Call Saul, because I watched the first season. I wasn't really crazy about it. But one of the reasons is that, you know, Breaking Bad as a standalone entity is such a conclusive story and encompasses so much character and so much depth that, like, to expand upon that, I don't really feel like there's a need to, like, I don't leave Breaking Bad thinking like, oh, I want to see more of this world and everything. It's like, no, the story told in Breaking Bad is so well rounded that it's like, I'm satiated. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, satiated.
Yeah. So, but as far as Breaking Bad, the movie, I'm curious about it because I'm kind of back and forth because somewhat spoilers for Breaking Bad. The ending for that particular character is it's left open-ended and ambiguous. And I kind of like the idea of letting that reside in our imaginations.
Yeah.
Rather than expanding it. So that's the only kind of hesitance that I have toward this. But yeah, like you said, it's Vince Gilligan. It doesn't feel like a cash grab because, you know, it feels like a writer who has an idea and they're going to go with it. So yeah. Speaking of AMC movies and cash grabs, The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Did you watch the most recent episode? I know you.
No, I'm probably 2 behind.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't bring this up then. Okay. Yeah, I won't.
Okay.
Oh, that was a really good segue though.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, I'll do it in a non-spoiler way for you.
Okay.
So speaking of AMC, blah blah blah. I'm not going to cut that. This is the kind of weird thing for me. So The Walking Dead is in their 9th season, and I just thought of something I'll say in a second, but in their 9th season, and like they redid the showrunner last season, Scott Gimple, was promoted to executive of something like content executive franchising, something like that, where he's overseeing the entire Walking Dead brand. And then, like, this is the weird thing to me, is that they are AMC and the producers of The Walking Dead are so adamant that they can go on forever with The Walking Dead. And the news came out that they are planning on making 3 movies, like TV movies for AMC.
Oh, I think I did read about this briefly.
Yeah. That would expand the universe a little bit, and like they're super excited about it and everything. I like the idea of it because of circumstances. I mean, I haven't watched The Walking Dead in like 3 seasons, and I just check in every now and then. But I kind of posed this on Twitter that I don't understand how, like, I don't understand, or I don't know how the Walking Dead brand has, I don't know if the Walking Dead brand has the fan base, a dedicated enough fan base to facilitate an expanded, like, universe franchise with movies and multiple TV shows. Saying this out loud just makes me really wish the Dark Tower had succeeded. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know if the fan base, because from what I've heard, like the ratings are low, relative to past years and past seasons. And like, it's not as culturally relevant to me. Like, I'm not seeing it on Facebook every day or every week. It doesn't seem like it's part of the conversation around film and TV. But Alex from the Midwest Podcast Network actually tweeted me and said, in response to that, and said that the actual ratings are, he said, which you can follow him at JonD1703. That's JONDY 1703. He said, I can't stand The Walking Dead, but just FYI, according to ratings data on Wikipedia, The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 4 had 5.1 million U.S. viewers, while Better Call Saul Season 4, Episode 10 had 1.5 million. So even though Walking Dead's numbers are down, it could still be the most viewed show on basic cable. So maybe they do have it, but how do you feel about the expansion of the Walking Dead brand?
I have even less enthusiasm than expanding the Breaking Bad franchise. I incidentally enough, I think it could be what the franchise needs to like re-energize it.
Sure.
I think the movies could be successful. But I don't know that they will be a step in the right direction as far as like story and like the progression of the plot of the Walking Dead universe. I've lost most of my enthusiasm for that show in general. I keep watching it because I've been watching it for 8 years.
Right.
And I don't feel like abandoning all of the characters and storylines and whatnot. But so you mentioned earlier that AMC is adamant that the show will just continue to go on. Right.
They've said that the producers behind the show have said that they have plans for like up to 10 more years of Walking Dead stuff.
I did not know that until this moment. That is a horrible idea. And I don't think that's going to work. I could see them getting canceled. If they try to do that.
Right.
Just because fatigue and stories have to end.
Well, that's the kind of interesting thing, because the Walking Dead comic was originally conceived, and I believe it's still running, but like it was conceived by Robert Kirkman as being a zombie movie that never ends. Like that's by design, that's what it is. And I can kind of appreciate the show doing that, but also that's a different, I feel like the television medium is a different medium that you need that closure.
Right. Nothing linear, no linear story just keeps going on television. That doesn't really, and soap operas don't count.
Right. Or the Truman Show.
Yeah. But it's,
even that had an ending.
Right. It doesn't make sense to try to do that. I think it's not realistic. I mean, it's bold and they're ballsy for trying that, but I don't think that's going to work. I'll watch the movies.
And to be clear, they're TV movies, so they're not going to be theatrical.
Right. Movies. And didn't they say that at least one of them is going to feature Rick Grimes?
All 3. Yeah,
that's an even worse idea.
That's the thing, and that's what I was kind of dancing around, because he had his final episode of the Walking Dead TV show.
Right.
And so the idea is that the movies are going to kind of be Rick Grimes centric.
Okay.
And I I like the idea of that because I respect Andrew Lincoln as an actor, and we've talked about this in like years ago on the podcast about how like I think at one point I noticed that he has had no other acting credits outside of The Walking Dead, and you had pointed out, I don't know why I remember this specific part of an episode of the podcast that we do, but you had pointed out that he was on Nerdist and talking about how he doesn't like he's a Family Guy. He's of The Simpsons, and he can't just go Flintstoning off and doing stuff with. I'm sorry. Anyway, he's a family man who like when he's not working, he spends time with his family.
Yeah,
and so I like the idea of like it feels like a good HR move or PR move even, but like it feels like this is a company that is letting their employee go part-time so they can spend more time with their family.
Right.
So like as an admirer of Andrew Lincoln's like work at like him as a person, I like the idea that, you know, this guy who, you know, has a family that is in another country while he works in the States 9 months out of the year, he's going to have the opportunity to work for 3 months or 2 or 3 months out of the year and then spend more of his time with his family. So I like that. But yeah. So
and that's the other part of that show is that, you know, it's only 12 or 13 episodes, but you know, each one of those episodes takes like 2 weeks to shoot. And so like you just said, the production for a season is like 7 to 9 months. I mean, that's a lot. That's huge. And, you know, a lot of these actors have like purchased homes in the Atlanta area and like they live there now. I mean, and like that's where they are, like 7 to 9 months out of the year. And so that's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
So
did we talk about the Chandler Riggs? Is that his name?
Yeah, the kid, Carl.
Yeah, Carl. He bought a house there.
He did?
Yeah, like he bought a house in like Atlanta after the producers told him like, yeah, we have ideas and everything. Like we're, you know, cause he like turned like 18 or something.
Okay.
And then he's like, like he was told by the show that he was going to be in it for the long haul and everything. And, spoiler alert, he's not in the show anymore.
No, not so much.
And like his father like had some choice words. Like he spoke out about it saying like, you know, they told him he was going to be working for a long time there. And then he just bought this house.
Jeez.
You know, and it's not like they film it in LA.
Right.
So
right.
like, he
has no reason to stay there, basically.
Right.
Yeah. I have been watching the show. I think I've watched 3 episodes, and it's okay. I mean, there's stuff to like about it. I mean, it's interesting how they're trying to. There's kind of a fresh start without spoiling what's going on.
Right.
And it's been interesting to see the inner workings / kind of politics of the direction they've taken the show. That's been semi-interesting, but it's still just really thin. The show is just wearing thin.
Yeah.
And has been for a few seasons, and it's not really getting better.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Is Lauren Cohan leaving as well?
She is.
I thought so.
I think she's going to be in like a couple more episodes than Andrew Lincoln, so.
She's been good this season.
Yeah.
I've liked her. But anyways.
Yeah, so that's the news about Walking Dead. You can find links to all this in the show notes of this episode, by the way. So we're going to finally get to our Letterboxd Potpourri. But before we do that, I want to announce that we're doing a contest for people. So I referenced it on the last episode. But basically, if you're on Letterboxd and you're listening to this episode and you want to be in the running for a free pro membership to Letterboxd, which gives you stats to all, like, if you keep a diary on Letterboxd, it will show you your stats for the year and for all time, and it breaks it down by, like, top actors, top directors, genres, week by week analysis of the movies you watch, the total runtime of movies you watch in a given time period. Like, it's really robust and interesting. But if you want a free pro membership, or if you have a pro membership and want a free 6-month extension of that pro membership, what you will have to do is go ahead and either email us or tweet us or Facebook us a link to one of your reviews that you've written on Letterboxd, and we'll pick our favorite one, and we'll facilitate you getting a free pro membership or extension on your pro membership. We're kind of partnering with Letterboxd to do this, so we're super excited about it. And yeah, so please send those to us so we don't look like, we don't look foolish in front of Letterboxd.
Yes, please do. And please use Letterboxd.
Yes, too.
We're not getting anything from that. Like, we just genuinely love that product.
Exactly.
And you use it all the time.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Seriously, it has made what we do at the Obsessive Viewer so much easier.
And fun. Like, it's a fun tool to just browse around and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Matt especially is a huge list maker.
Yes, I am.
And this is a huge enabler of that.
It really,
for you.
Really
I've
is.
noticed.
Also, just real quick, to go back to our Breaking Bad movie news item, and then I promise we'll get to our Letterboxd Potpourri. Just in from Mike, our recurring co-host, one of our recurring co-hosts. He his response to the news of the Breaking Bad movie is awesome necessary. And he put a little TM next to it, so yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, so let's get into our Letterboxd Potpourri, Tiny, finally.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pick like probably 3 or 4 movies that each of us have seen, and we're going to ask each other what our opinions are of the movies that we've seen on Letterboxd and logged recently on Letterboxd. Once again, you can follow me at Obsessive Viewer at letterboxd.com/Obsessive Viewer. Follow Tiny at letterboxd.com/Obsessive Tiny. And Tiny, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'm dying to start and ask you about one of yours.
Okay, cool. Go right ahead.
Why did you watch the movie Changing Lanes from 2002?
Okay.
That movie sucks. Like that's a terrible movie.
It really, really does. And I'm glad that you brought that up. So, like you'll notice I didn't bother writing a review of it on Letterboxd. Yeah. I think I rated it 2 stars?
1. You gave it 1 star.
1 star.
Which is right. That's correct.
Yeah. So it's a 2002.
2002, yeah.
Movie with Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Affleck as 2 men that are in a fender bender one day, just by random chance, and then that escalates into a game of each of them trying to destroy the other's lives.
Right.
And so, okay, so I watched this movie. Why did I watch this movie? I noticed it on like Amazon Prime. I think it was on like the Cinemax or, what's the other one that I subscribe to? Cinemax or Stars add-on subscription on Amazon Prime. And the reason that I watched it was I was bored. And I think I was doing, that's what I was doing. I was redoing the website.
Okay.
I was doing all that stuff, and I was like, I'm going to throw something on in the background. And, I didn't really feel like watching something that I was really that familiar with.
Gotcha.
And so I kind of threw that on. And one of the reasons behind it is that, so back in high school, I worked at Blockbuster Video. For you kids out there, Blockbuster Video was like Netflix the store, where you had to actually buy physical or rent physical copies of movies.
Oh man.
And I worked there for like 8 months in my senior year of high school. And as part of the perks of that, I got like a ridiculous discount on like previously viewed DVDs. Mm-hmm. It's funny because, me, you and Mike have got to have an episode about like our relationship with physical media and stuff, and like the different types of media. But anyway, we've talked about that for years at this point. But so basically, I would get like like a ridiculous discount on previously viewed DVDs. So I would buy a whole bunch, and I was not selective with my purchases. And so like Changing Lanes was one of those ones that I bought and then just never watched.
Okay.
And I kind of had it in my head that like there are certain movies like nowadays when we're browsing Netflix or our preferred streaming service website and everything, we're just kind of scrolling through cover art and everything. And there are certain movies that fall under that changing lanes kind of category for me, where these are movies that I bought, like I blind bought or saw like the cover art for at Blockbuster so frequently that it kind of stuck with me. Mm-hmm. So like it's this weird thing, and this might just be more just me diving into my own like weird mental state, but like it's almost like a form of imposter syndrome a little bit, because like having like been familiar with the cover art for so many movies, like, and knowing enough about them based on that and like the stuff I read about and everything, it feels like part of me is like, I kind of know this movie, but I don't know the movie. Like,
yeah,
the Changing Lanes cover art I saw like every day at work, or like I bought it with the intention of watching it because it was cheap, but I never did. Yet I know this movie because I know like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I know the plot elements of it because I made that decision to buy it because the plot sounded interesting, but I never watched it, so I don't actually know the movie. Does that make any sense? I ask as you're taking a drink.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Okay. So I kind of thought, for a second, I thought, like, this would be a good list on Letterboxd. Movies that I just know the cover art to.
Right.
But, like, I watched Changing Lanes because it's like, you know what? It's one of those movies that I know, but I don't know, so might as well know it. And, yeah. I guess I'm better off now.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not good at all. I think I once described it as someone wrote this movie after they bumped into Malcolm Gladwell at a bar, and he was drunk and just rambling off shitty ideas for books, and someone was like, I'm going to turn this into a movie.
Yeah. It's the big problem with it is that, like, okay, as I said, it's about these two men who are by fate, not really by fate, but just by circumstance, they bump into each other. They're both in a hurry to get to a certain place. Like Samuel L. Jackson is going to court so he can try to win his kids back or win custody of his kids. Ben Affleck is on his way to also to court, I think, for an important meeting that he has paperwork that he has to give to the court, and he's like trying to make partner at his law firm that his father-in-law is like the head of or whatever, but like by circumstance they don't have time to exchange numbers or anything, but anyway, they end up trying to, you know, one up each other in terms of destroying the other's lives.
Yeah.
And the big problem with the movie is that it is, I don't know if it was rated R. Can you pull that up real quick? Because I want to say it was PG-13 because it feels like a PG-13 thriller. It is that. It is an early 2000s, you know, PG-13 or maybe soft R rating, thriller with big name actors and a weak script. Cause it's just, it's contingent on the star power of the two leads, and the actual, plot doesn't really make much sense. Like there's a scene, and I love this in movies, cause it kind of really dates the movie. Which also, this is like came out in 2002. You would think that this wouldn't be as big an issue then, but like there's a scene where, basically Samuel L. Jackson has gotten, a loan to buy a house. So he can, you know, like he bought a house for his estranged ex-wife or his estranged wife, so that their kids can live there with him, with her. So Ben Affleck, meets with this hacker who, does like some computer typing and then has, Samuel L. Jackson like bankrupt, just from a few keystrokes. And then Ben Affleck has to go to the bank to kind of try to straighten it out for him as he has a change of heart. But anyway, it's not a good movie. 1 star. I feel like it's not like a deplorable movie, but it's, if I didn't know the cover art, I wouldn't know the movie, even after seeing it. So
right. Yeah, this was like 2002 was like peak Affleck time.
Yeah.
And like Hollywood was like really trying to make Ben Affleck happen.
Right.
And he was doing a lot of mediocre shit like this.
He really was.
So thankfully he's found his stride, I think. But, yeah.
As, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just curious why you even watched that.
Yeah. Did you see it when
I saw it like when it came out, and I was even as like 15-year-old, I was like, this is pretty fucking dumb.
Right. I remember kind of, I don't know if I'd say admiring of you, but like as like when we were growing up, I guess when we were teenagers, I remember like you used to watch, or I mean, I'm sure you still do, but you would watch things. Like you would get stuff at Blockbuster just strictly because just like, oh, it looks kind of cool. Like for me, like my mental state, like my weird neuroses and everything is like, I have to research like, okay, is this the best option for what I want to rent? But like you would be like, oh, I rented this movie about, a documentary about water.
Yeah.
I just rented this because it sounded cool. I'm like, oh, you didn't like make a spreadsheet or anything?
Well, spoiler alert, a lot of the time it doesn't work out. Right? You get movies like Changing Lanes.
Yeah. God. Well, let's change lanes so I can ask you about a movie that you've seen.
Let's.
Yes. I was thinking about doing kind of a deep cut from your Letterboxd, but I may still, but the one that kind of immediately jumps out to me is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. I watched that.
And how, first of all, reiterate how you felt about the first Jurassic World and then go into
I feel like the best way to wrap it up to talk about Jurassic World is that it had, it was an exciting dinosaur-filled movie with, fun Chris Pratt being Chris Pratt, but it just lacked a lot of the heart of the original, I'd say the original movie and the sequel, which I think, the second Jurassic Park movie is pretty good too. People tend to shit on it. The Lost World. Yeah, people tend to shit on it, but I think it's a pretty good movie. So it was just lacking some kind of heart. It just wasn't there. The majesty wasn't there anymore. I feel like, like the Indominus Rex kind of was just like, there's no inspiration behind it. It's like too corporation-y, evilly. Like, what was beautiful about the original Jurassic Park is that it was kind of a gray area. Yeah. It's like, was this a good idea or wasn't it? You have Dr. Malcolm with his whole chaos theory and all that crap, and then you have the, you have, what was his name? I don't even remember.
Grant? Or
Richard Attenborough.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Hang on.
I can't think of his name. Which is terrible.
Wow. Spared no expense.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Richard Hammond.
Thank you. Who's he's just, enthralled with the prospect of seeing dinosaurs again. It's the power of that, I guess. Anyways, I feel like Jurassic World was lacking that, and it's just, it was just all about like how dinosaur can we get? And they went full dinosaur in that movie. But it was, I don't think it was awful. Fallen Kingdom was pretty much awful.
Interesting.
Well, I still had a pretty decent amount of fun with it.
Because you rated it 3 stars.
I did give it 3 stars, didn't it? But
which we should probably like. Do you have like an idea for your rating system? Like,
not necessarily. I don't know. I kind of think about, like, I sit there and think of a movie and I go, okay, here's what 5 stars should be. It didn't have this, or this is enough to take away a star, this is enough to take away half star, this, is this and that. And then I kind of try to decide on it then. I don't know if that's makes sense.
No, it does.
Every movie starts out with the 5 stars, and then it just I kind of knock it down based on what I see, kind of. I don't know.
Interesting.
There's no science behind it or anything.
Right.
It's not solid. But the biggest thing that I didn't think that this franchise could lose even more heart but it really did. I mean, this was just like the promotion for the movie was all about how it's about. This movie is going to be about the quest to save the dinosaurs from the island going off or whatever. And spoiler alert, that's like the first 20 minutes of the movie. And then the plot takes a whole left turn. And it tries to like shoehorn in this character from way before the first movie. And it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I've never heard of this guy. And it's, what's his name? James Cromwell?
James Cromwell.
Well, he's a great actor. And I like him and everything, but he's really drastically underused in this movie, and I don't know, just the progression of the movie, it just makes these huge leaps really quickly, and it's like, oh wow, they're on the coast of California now, and they were just on the island 20 minutes ago, and it's like there's all these dinosaurs in the basement of this house. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
It's just so weird. It's almost like it's almost like the fifth or sixth entry in like a shitty horror franchise. Like,
I can see that.
Yeah, it's like they're just really like swinging for the fences here, and they're not making contact with the ball. That's really what it just felt like to me. And there's this whole cloning thing in there that just, I was like, oh, they did that. And it just was, it just didn't have any heart. It just, I was like, I wasn't emotionally attached to that, and it's like you just introduced this character who's supposed to be hugely significant, and that didn't happen. That didn't work on me at all. And now you want me to feel emotional towards his daughter, and it's just like, I don't feel that at all. This is completely empty to me.
Yeah.
And that's just what most of the movie was, a lot of emptiness. And again, trying to recycle a lot of ideas, I think. And man, it just didn't really work that well. But again, I still just kind of had fun with it. I don't know. They need to stop.
Yeah.
I think they need to stop, or go super simple with good characters and like stick to a story. Like let's go somewhere and stay there and sit in the story for a second. Don't just jump all over the place. And it's like, let's wait a couple years here and let's really either just move on or try to simplify this. I don't know.
Yeah, we, Fecus and I reviewed the movie on OV241, which you can find at obsessiveviewer.com/OV241.
Okay.
And I can't remember if I mentioned this on it when I talked to him about it, but something that struck me afterwards, I think I heard it talked about in a couple other podcasts, but, the motivation of Bryce Dallas Howard's character, in this movie just, I wouldn't go so far as to say contradicts the first movie, but it is a sharp left turn from it, because it's like, it's weird that something I can't really reconcile in my brain is that it's kind of weird that she is so adamant, like she's now this conservationist that wants to save the dinosaurs and everything. It's like, these same dinosaurs like ate probably hundreds of people that like you should be like,
she's semi-culpable for.
Exactly. You should be like, I don't know how she's okay with, like, you would think that like she would have as much, she should be having like a traumatic like experience, like reconciling her role in the death of like so many people.
Right.
But plus, no, she wants to save the dinosaurs.
Yeah. And plus in the first movie, she was such a soulless corporate cog.
Yeah.
And then she makes a little bit of a turn in the movie, but she's still, she's still a very, very much like an alpha type CEO type person. And she goes to this like you said, a huge right turn where she's like this hippy dippy activist type. Right. And it's like, what? That does not make sense for her character. It was a huge jump. And like, I love Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh yeah.
And everything, but man, she probably read the script and was like, guys, what are you doing? I can only imagine. Anyways, it makes a lot of sense for Chris Pratt's character.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was just pretty messy. A good way to spend $250 million. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm kind of reading through my review on Letterboxd. Here's an excerpt from it. Owen and Claire have no identifiable character arcs in the movie, despite dialogue existing in the movie to half-ass set up character development that ultimately goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, Chris Pratt, like, Owen and Blue kind of have their thing, and also Blue is like, there's a scene where freaking Raptor does like an action hero like escape from an exploding room. That's like, how does this animal know that the room is about to explode?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and I talked about this with Fecus in OV241, but I did think that Owen's relationship with Blue resonated with me as a pet owner. And coming out of the movie, I was like, yeah, pizza would totally save me.
Totes.
From evil dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean, there were some good things about the movie too. I don't want to completely shit all over it, but one of the things I wanted to point out was the new dinosaur they created, the
Indoraptor.
Which, I couldn't even remember what it was called.
And I mentioned this in the episode, but I think I mentioned it. Yeah, it's more like indoor raptor.
Nice.
Because they're in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty scary, actually.
Interesting.
There's some parts where it's like kind of stalking people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, that was, especially there's I think it's in the trailer, there's a scene where like this little girl is in her bed, like hiding under the covers, traditional kid thing to do. And the Indoraptor is literally stalking towards her. I was like, that is the scariest thing ever for a child. Like I genuinely felt that fear and tension, in that scene. I thought that was actually captured pretty well.
The director, I'm going to butcher his name. Hang on real quick. J.A. Bayona. He, I thought, did a really great job of showcasing some of the kind of monster elements of it.
Yeah, totally.
Like that whole opening sequence with them recovering the bones. Like it's raining, it's dark, it's like it's really, really effective. Like the opening like 5 minutes of the movie are just really incredible.
Yeah.
But the movie kind of squanders that a little bit.
Right. What else was I gonna say? Oh, and like the like villain played by Rafe Spall, his motivations are just like really dumb. It's like he's talking about making like $100 million. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the guy you work for is like a multi-billionaire. So like, you're seriously trying to convince him about making like, man, we're gonna make like $100 million in one night. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, are you serious? Like, even if you were like, we can make 100 billion, he'd be like, I have $10 billion. Right. I don't need 100 billion. Like, it's in the pursuit of money. And I was like, what are you serious? Like,
and it is the numbers are so ridiculously low for what they're like, cause the whole thing is they're auctioning off these animals.
Right. Yeah.
That they are one of a kind.
Yeah.
Created like dinosaurs. I think how does the movie phrase them? Like de-extinct or something like that? Or
I don't remember.
Yeah, they have a word for it, but like these are animals that literally have not existed on the earth in millions and millions and millions of years, and they're auctioning them off to rich like nefarious people,
industrial types.
Yeah, for like $5 to $10 million per animal. Like I heard this, and I think we talked about it also in 241, but it's the most Dr. Evil kind of thing.
Right.
Like $1 million.
Yes, exactly. And like they bring out the Indoraptor as like a prototype.
Right.
But people start throwing out these giant numbers and they sell it for like $80 million. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, did a sixth grader write this part?
Right.
Guys, it'd be like $10 million. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was. I'll have to ask you about this off mic because we don't want to get into spoilers, but I feel like the movie, despite its worst qualities, kind of ends in a somewhat interesting manner that like me and Feck has talked about this in the review, but I'm against my better judgment. I'm curious how they will make a third one,
right?
And what that would entail.
Yeah. I do not foresee them, quote unquote, saving the franchise from in a sense of quality,
right?
Like, I'm sure it's going to make crap ton of money and all that stuff, and people will consider it successful for that reason. But as far as making a good trilogy of films,
yeah,
I'm not confident that one film can save the other two.
Right. Same here. So, it's not going to retroactively make me like the first two,
right,
of this little franchise. But I will say, as a little Easter egg, the closing shot of the movie is overlooking like a residential area, and I don't think that's too spoilery.
No, not at all.
And it's interesting because that location that they shot that specific shot in is the same location that the family in E.T. reside in.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was a really nice like nod to Spielberg.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Also, there is a post-credit scene. Are you aware of it?
I don't think I watched it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's Jurassic World.
Yes. So, looking at your list, there's a rating that kind of jumps out at me.
Okay.
It's your rating for the movie Mid90s.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious how that went for you, what you thought of that.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought this up. Okay. You know what's interesting, first of all, as a preamble to this, 2018 has been an interesting year for directorial debuts from people who don't direct, like celebrity directorial debuts. So we had in, I think like July, we had 8th Grade from Bo Burnham, which is still one of my favorite movies of the year. And then we also have Mid90s from Jonah Hill. And then also A Star is Born from Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Which I think me and Kirsten are going to review in a couple weeks. So, so don't ask me about that one.
All right.
So, Mid90s, it's, let me read the plot description. What was my rating of it as I bring this up?
You gave it 2.5 stars.
I did.
I was expecting to see more than that.
I was too, because this is such a Matt movie, like a coming of age story of an insecure or awkward, like teenager, middle school kid. Like this is the type of movie that resonates to me. But the plot description, according to IMDb, is Mid90s follows Stevie, a 13-year-old in 1990s era Los Angeles who spends his summer navigating between his troubled home life and a group of new friends that he meets at a Motor Avenue skate shop. So I was really excited about it, and unfortunately that excitement did not, the movie wasn't good.
Okay.
I kind of aggressively, I don't know if I'd say aggressively, but I really disliked the movie. It is kind of just listless. When you have like a, coming of age story, like the easy comparison is to compare it to 8th Grade, which 8th Grade I thought was like revelatory. Because it depicts this vulnerable and, just very vulnerable and insecure kid. And she has a narrative arc throughout the movie. She has her ups and downs, and it's a very just really beautifully told story and beautiful narrative. Mid90s is kind of the antithesis to this, which Stevie is an insecure 13-year-old kid who doesn't have like an identity really, or he's searching for his identity. But the movie seems to just actively avoid any kind of conflict or narrative structure. It's just kind of like this just kind of slice of life, like telling a story of this, I guess, summer that he had, where he became friends with this group of skaters. And like, that's fine. I'm okay with that kind of movie that's kind of listless and more about the era that it's depicting, or kind of the more broad terms of like friendship or like human connection with, like, I like that I like that in a narrative where they make the central thing, instead of character or plot, they make it like the experience of the characters. The problem is that on one hand, it didn't resonate with me, not because I've never been like a skateboarder or anything like that, or I'm just as far removed from that like culture as you can possibly be, but also just because it just wasn't interesting to me. Like, there are certain characters within the group that are interesting. Like, there's one character that gets, like, he's kind of insecure because Stevie's kind of honing in on his territory, I guess. But in that kind of, that's probably the one character interaction that Stevie has that has like a cohesive like narrative, like a traditional narrative structure and a traditional like beginning, middle, and end, like conflict, like rising conflict, all that stuff. But it didn't really resonate with me. Like, it didn't interest me that much. And then like there's the kind of leader of the group, who is kind of this sort of mentor to Stevie, who like is a very interesting character, very like, you get some good backstory about him, and he seems like a genuinely nice guy, but like it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the movie. It just didn't resonate with me. And then you have kind of the big, I won't give away anything in spoilers, but the movie, as I said, is kind of just like a slice of life. Like, it's his summer with these skater kids and everything. But it kind of comes to a head in a kind of dramatic fashion. And I will say that Jonah Hill's, like, the way that he captured this dramatic moment, it's essentially, it's the climax of the movie. It is really like, he really uses the visual medium of film in a very interesting way in depicting this kind of not surprise, but like this kind of dramatic moment. And I give him all the credit for that, because it's a really effective way. But at that point, I was just not that interested. And also, it's at the climax of the movie. It's the big dramatic set piece, but there's no resolution to it. Like, it seems like this moment should have happened like much earlier in the movie, and there should have been like fallout from it throughout the rest of the movie. But it's like, everyone's just fine afterwards. It's like everything, it's like, oh, this is just the way life is. And it's like, that's not, it's weird. It's weird and doesn't fit. And then there's also stuff with his home life, Stevie's home life. Like, his mother is kind of a single mother who's working hard to provide for him and his brother. His brother is this really just abusive, like, violent older brother who like beats the shit out of him. And then like, you think that there's like, it's in the trailer that one of the skater kids tries to like, he accidentally bumps into Stevie's brother, and Stevie gets like really nervous and everything, and like one of the skater kids is like they kind of go back and forth, and they're like kind of threatening each other, the skater kid and Stevie's brother, played by Lucas Hedges from Manchester by the Sea, and also I think he's got like 2 movies out this year. Like, he's a really good actor, but like, he's given like dick to work with. And he, like, you think that is going to be like a narrative thing that's going to follow through the rest of the movie, but it really doesn't. It's just like, kind of just like, there are moments between him and Stevie that, you know, kind of like are just kind of like vignettes of like moments, but they don't have like a narrative through point through it. Like, there's not like an arc where it's like, Stevie's brother learns to respect Stevie, or Stevie like realizes that his brother isn't like an authority figure or anything like that, or he's like, because Stevie's his own person. Like, there's nothing that's communicated outright like to that effect. It's just like moments between the two characters, and it didn't resonate with me.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Mid90s, and it's also worth mentioning that it is filmed in 4:3 aspect ratio, so it has the bars on the left and right.
Interesting.
It's interesting. It kind of helps bring us into that like mid-90s era and everything, but as much as I appreciate that style and everything, it just, the storyline and the narrative just didn't work for me.
Okay, that's a shame. I had heard quite a few good things about it, so
Yeah, and the kind of thought exercise that I've been doing is like, would I have been so averse to Mid90s had 8th Grade not come out?
Oh, okay.
Because, and I mean, they're not very similar movies, but I mean, they do share, like, they're pretty similar in terms of, just, middle school kids coming of age stories, but like they're told differently. I think there's different objectives to each movie from the filmmakers. But had I not been so blown away by 8th Grade, maybe I could have latched onto something or had more emotional connection to Mid90s. But that really is just kind of an apology. Like I don't think that that's the case, but it could have contributed to it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen 8th Grade yet?
No.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I tried to talk Paige into it a couple times, but I really don't want to see it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because it's on my Vudu.
Right. Also, Joel Edgerton, his directorial debut comes out very soon.
Actually, not his directorial debut.
It's not?
He did The Gift in like 2015.
Oh, I didn't realize he directed.
Yeah.
that. I thought this was his debut.
No. Huh. What is his new movie though?
It's called Boy Erased.
Oh, that's right. I think, is Lucas Hedges in that too?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with Lucas Hedges.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever see Manchester by the Sea?
I did. Which character was he in?
He was the kid in Manchester by the Sea.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the main character in this. I heard Joel Edgerton was being interviewed on NPR, and I heard him on the radio talking about it. Sounds really good. It's a true story about a kid who goes through conversion therapy when he comes out as gay. It sounds really incredible. I was really impressed with Joel Edgerton's motivations for making the movie and the way he talked about it. It made me want to see it. Another case of, I guess, hearing an interview and being inspired to see a film by an interview.
Oh yeah, like Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. Yeah. So NPR, they're good at interviewing people.
I've heard really good. I don't really listen to NPR that much. I've been listening to just stupid improv, well, not stupid, but really silly improv podcasts like what is it? Oh my god, why can't I think of Off Book?
Okay.
With it's an improvised musical podcast. Really funny. But anyway, oh yeah, I was checking to see if Boy Erased was out yet, but I get it confused, the title of it confused with Beautiful Boy.
Right, which I'm also looking forward to.
Me too.
Another true story.
Yeah, it's out now. It's got Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet from Call Me by Your Name.
Right.
Very interesting. Man, Steve Carell, I am so excited for him. Because like he's got Beautiful Boy, and then have you seen the trailer for Marwen or?
Yes.
Yeah. What is
that? Looks like such a fun, quirky movie.
It does.
Quirkily emotional, I guess, film.
Welcome to Marwen.
Welcome to Marwen. Okay.
And just like, it looks like such an interesting like idea.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. What am I trying to think of? Like a very one of a kind movie.
Absolutely.
What it looks like. I just love Steve Carell's career.
Me too.
Because I loved him when he was doing. I love him when he's doing comedy. But he's transitioned so well, or he has the ability to transition back and forth between comedy and drama and do so effectively.
Totally.
I recently watched him in a movie called Last Flag Flying, I think.
I was just about to say.
Were you going to ask me about that?
Yeah, I was going to do the transition. I was going to be like,
dang, okay.
Well, speaking of which, I saw that you saw Last Flag Flying.
Yes.
With him and Bryan Cranston and, is it Lawrence Fishburne?
Yes, Lawrence Fishburne, yes.
I've been it's directed by Richard Linklater.
Yes, it is.
I've been very interested to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's on Amazon Prime Instant.
Yep.
Go ahead. How was it?
It was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I respect the hell out of Richard Linklater. Let's see, I'm trying to think of here. I gave it 4 stars. I couldn't remember what I gave it, but I knew it was a good rating. But I really appreciate Richard Linklater's filmmaking techniques and his just he tells really simple stories that that have large implications, I think. Like his characters are not necessarily these really giant, larger than life people. It's usually very simple, down to earth people, and they're dealing with kind of, I don't want to say extremes of life, but they're like kind of they're always going through something, and it's fascinating how he can take such I don't want to say run-of-the-mill characters, but just relatable characters, I guess, and have them go through these things that we all go through, but it feels like such a stark film, or like such an incredible moment in a person's life. I don't know if I'm really quantifying it well. I just appreciate the way he handles his films. It feels like they should be these very straightforward, simple things, but you always go on this really incredible journey, and that's why I like Linklater. But this is another example of it. The film is about a guy who's a Vietnam veteran, and played by Steve Carell, and his son, who's in the army, dies, and he has to go pick up his son's body. And he goes and finds his two friends from Vietnam and asks them to go with him. And it comes out that he was like dishonorably discharged, and they kind of did something stupid, and he kind of took the fall for it, and like he did some time in the brig and stuff like that. But it's the movie is just so fascinating, because Steve Carell is this very internalized, quiet, calm guy, and then you have Bryan Cranston, who is just this off-the-wall wild card,
nice,
goofy, do anything, never shuts up kind of guy. And then Lawrence Fishburne, who is just completely broken away became a preacher and stuff like that, and completely broken away from any kind of wild lifestyle like these guys used to have when they were in the Marines. So just the juxtaposition of these three starkly different characters, just that in and of itself is really fun, and really enjoyable. Bryan Cranston has so much fun in this movie. I mean, nice. Everyone who's ever been in school or been in a big social situation, like in the military or been in school or something, a guy like this, the crazy wild card kind of guy.
Totally.
And he plays it to a T, and
nice.
perfectly cast actor for this role. So just the chemistry between the three main characters is really impressive. And the movie is really good at giving you an incredibly deep moment, or a very, I keep coming back to the word stark, because it's all very, all of the dramatic moments are very abrupt. They just kind of happen, which is realistic, that's how drama happens in your life. But, so it's these very, you're just glued to the screen. You're like, oh man, this is just, I feel so bad for this guy. And then they'll just throw in this moment of comedy. And because of the setting, it makes it even funnier. Typically it's Bryan Cranston being a dick. I don't remember the character's name, but, anyways, it's just the quick journey that all these guys go on. And it's kind of about nostalgia and, kind of peaking early, if you will, because I think all three of them kind of missed their time in the military, but they're too old to go back. They can't be in the military anymore. And Bryan Cranston is very lost. He owns a bar, but he's very distraught, and like he's not financially well off. And Steve Carell we find out he lost his wife as well, so he's kind of all alone now. And I feel like Lawrence Fishburne's character kind of yearns for that different time, even though he keeps touting being a man of God and being a straight, walking the straight path and stuff like that. I think he yearns for a time where he was a much wilder young man. So, it's just incredible the depth they achieved with the characters in the short amount of time that you're following them on this trip. And there's some fish out of water moments, and some kind of defiance of authority that's just really, really fun. It's just a really, really well-made film. And I love the performances. Just a great combination of things coming together in a great movie.
Nice.
So I definitely recommend it.
Sweet. And that's Last Flag Flying. It's on Amazon Prime right now.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. Do you want to do one more each? Kind of lightning round?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe, since we're getting a little long.
Yeah. So looking at your list, I'm very curious about Bad Times at the El Royale.
Well, Tiny, if you go to obsessiveviewer.com/OV257, you'll hear me and Fecus review it.
Okay.
But don't do that yet, because that episode has not posted yet.
Oh, shit. Okay, I can see better.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
But I will say, it was pretty fun, I guess.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Should I ask you about The Oath?
Go to obsessiveviewer.com/OV256 and listen to the potpourri section.
The Old Man and the Gun?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only one that we can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I can ask.
Okay, yeah.
So.
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm looking at your list, and there's a movie I don't think I've even heard of. The Old Man and the Gun came out 2018. Mm-hmm. I don't really know anything about this.
Sure. So, yeah. obsessiveviewer.com. So I just remember it was on my potpourri with that Fecus episode. Do you just want to end the episode with us each talking about Halloween?
That's fine. Yeah,
okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So let's round us out. We have, instead of doing like, I guess we can call this our feature review.
Yeah.
This was not planned. Let's talk about Halloween, Tiny, to kind of round us out.
Let's.
Yeah. So you and I actually, Tiny, I can actually look this up real quick. We saw this movie together.
Yes.
And, that I was just going to say, like, yeah, and we don't get to see movies together that much, but we also saw the Samuel Project together.
Right.
Like 2 weeks earlier. So, yeah, so Halloween is the new iteration or the new take on the iconic Halloween franchise. Directed by David Gordon Green, it's Laurie Strode comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. 4 decades ago. Tiny, how did you feel about Halloween?
I ended up liking it a lot.
Nice.
I don't even remember what rating I gave it, but let's see what I gave it. Hang on, sorry.
Very fun.
I gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.5 stars. I ended up liking it. I really just kind of appreciated the fact that they basically just skipped over all the damn sequels and including Halloween 2 from 1980 or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a really interesting choice and kind of it really just refreshed the franchise, I guess. It was a refreshing take on the franchise. It wasn't a remake or anything. It was like a direct sequel to the original. So it was just a good choice. And I think it ultimately worked really well. And just seeing Laurie Strode again, this is the first time I think that I've ever seen, Jamie Lee Curtis, like, so, I don't want to say rough, but she's so like, she's just like rough around the edges, and she looks like a woman who's been obsessed about one thing for 40 years.
Yeah.
And they really nailed that look. Cause she's aged incredibly well. She's really beautiful woman. And it's just, they really made her look like kind of crazy. Kind of crazy in this movie. And she, as her character should be, dealing with this just life altering event as a teenager. It was just a great choice for the film. And I think it worked on a lot of levels and had a really satisfying conclusion. And it feels final. It feels conclusive. I liked a lot of I think it was pretty true to the franchise. It gave us a lot of stalking and some gore and some cool like fun kills and stuff like that. You know, that stuff matters in this kind of franchise. And I enjoyed the movie a lot for all those reasons.
Nice. And, you know, I can't dispute really anything you said because it's your opinion.
Yeah.
But, also, like, I liked it too, but I think I liked it a little less than you. Like, the farther I got away from it, the more I kind of just didn't pick it apart per se, but kind of found like I didn't like certain aspects of it as much as I would hope to.
Okay.
Particularly, like, there are several, kills that are, while they are very effective in terms of just how they're displayed and everything, the victims are kind of random to me. Like, we get, like, the first couple are, like, people that just we don't know. Like, we just, as an audience, we don't know the characters, which is fine. But it's also, like, when we do know the characters, it's like we know just nothing about them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just not that kind of tension wasn't there for me, as far as like knowing the characters that he's offing. Another thing about that is, like, while I do think that there are several like really effectively gruesome and cool and cleverly designed kills, I do feel like the movie kind of feels a little bit hampered by the Blumhouse kind of machine, I guess, or the Blumhouse model. Okay. Where they film a movie that they have a strict like $5 or $10 million budget and they can't go over it or anything. So there are like a few, maybe two or maybe even three like death scenes that occur completely off screen. And in some cases they're effective. It's an effective kind of way of utilizing the tension of the scene. But like in other times it's like we see the aftermath of it and it's like, okay, that would have been cool to see. Right. Like it's kind of just like they cut around it and I'm just like, I kind of, it's a slasher movie. I kind of want that.
Yeah.
Demented kind of way.
Not to give you friction on that, but I feel like the reason they did that on some of them, on some of those kills is because if they would have shown them, I feel like they would have been like copycats of kills from the first movie. So the way having them off screen and showing the aftermath was almost more of like an homage.
I can definitely get on board with that with one in particular.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think maybe that's what they were going for.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Like, and I do get that impression, especially from one, and one in particular is like, it's basically like we see the aftermath of it and it is 100% like an homage to a kill from the original, which is fine. And like, I get that it would have been redundant and everything, but there are other, like, I'll cede what's the word I'm looking for? Concede that point. Okay. But there are a couple other ones that it's like, it's like a long tracking shot and then, someone goes into the other room and then Michael follows and.
Okay. That's true.
Yeah. But it's just like some of it just seemed like it was just a little too, like they weren't as creative enough with it because they didn't have the budget. That's how I felt about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then also I want to mention that there is a subplot involving a character, the doctor character that I didn't care for. But Mike is actually going to be posting an editorial about that specific subplot on the website in the coming days. So whenever that gets posted, I'll put a link in the show notes of this episode. But he is a defender of it. Okay. How did you feel about that subplot without going to spoilers?
I was okay with it. I was taken aback by it. I didn't see it coming at all. It seemed a little hokey or a little bit too out of left field. But I think ultimately I'm okay with it, especially with the way that it concluded or like wrapped up or whatever. I was fine with it. But yeah, I can see why people might have a problem with it. I think it's sort of realistic though, because it was almost like a form of like fetishism. Yeah. In a way, the way, the fact that the doctor had that reaction, and did what he did, it was almost like a form of fetishism, I guess. That's how I interpreted it anyways. And I think that's possible. It's possible for a person to study something for so long or to be involved with something for so long that you want to, even though it's a form of evil, you want to encourage it just to see what happens. And
right.
I think that's kind of what it was. And I got it. I understood it or whatever, but it was a little out of left field.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like it was weird because when it happens in the movie, and we're dancing around spoilers, so I hope we don't get into too many spoilers, but when it happens, like in the moment, I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. Like it's a departure from what we've seen in maybe not necessarily the franchise as a whole, but like as a direct sequel to the original, like this is an interesting departure from the formula of the original.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, but it kind of felt like the movie doesn't really go anywhere with it. I think that's where my kind of contention comes in with it, because like it's an interesting element to throw in, but then it's like there's no resolution of it. Like it doesn't go anywhere interesting. It kind of, at the end of the day, it kind of feels like it's just a shock moment and without any kind of, I don't know if I'd even say commentary, but like with any point really to necessitate it. One of the other points I want to bring up about it is that this movie is very interesting in this era that we're in right now, because with like the Me Too movement and everything, it's really interesting to see a movie where like the central character, the heroine of the movie, is someone who has been so affected by trauma from like several years ago. And it's like it's kind of an empowering movie in that she is taking control of her, her survival, and she's kind of she's coming to terms with significant trauma. And what I appreciate about the movie is that it could have just been kind of a token horror movie, kind of Final Girl kind of thing. But what the movie does that I thought was really interesting and broke some new ground for this era, I should say, is that it depicts the trickle down effect of the trauma, like how it affects her daughter and her granddaughter, and how that family unit is forever just tainted by this trauma that Laurie Strode underwent. And I think going back, and I want to go back and watch this movie again, because I want to see it as a commentary on dealing with trauma and empowering yourself in the face of trauma. But I thought that was really interestingly depicted in the movie, especially in like that final sequence.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't. It's hard to go into it without spoiling it. But
right.
Yeah, the ending is it's beyond satisfying. I thought it was great, personally.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Oh yeah, and although I do, I won't go into that. Because it's kind of spoilery, but it kind of feels like the ending itself was a little bit, it kind of felt like they redid it. Like I kind of wish that there was a little bit more lead up to it, because there's some certain dialogue that's kind of called back to, but it's like called back to from a scene like 5 minutes before. Like kind of wish it was more seated in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's minor nitpicks here. But Halloween was good. I enjoyed it, and we'll be giving away, I'm positive we'll be giving away like a Blu-ray or two at Shocktober next year. So
nice. Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. I was kind of expecting to give it like a 4 or 4.5. Not that I was let down or anything, but
right.
I thought I might like it a little more than I actually did.
Same here.
Because like the original, I would give the original probably 4.5, maybe even just go ahead and give it 5 stars.
Yeah,
the original is a work of art.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth seeing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I will say, kind of final thoughts on that is that the score, I adored it. Like John Carpenter and I think his son worked on the score, like did an original score for it, and it's like a really great balance of like the original music with kind of a new spin on it, I guess. I don't know much about music.
It didn't jump out at me. I don't really recall it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I need to, when I watch it next, I need to take note of that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that'll do it for this episode, Tiny.
Yes.
Yeah. Once again, if you want a free pro membership to Letterboxd, if you want to be entered into our contest for it, shoot us an email at matt@obsessiveviewer.com, or tweet us or post on Facebook on our Facebook page or the Facebook group one of your reviews for a movie that you've seen on Letterboxd, and you'll be entered into a contest for it. We will announce the winner. We'll open submissions for the contest until Thanksgiving Day, or let's go Black Friday. So Friday, November 24th.
8th. Oh, is it that early?
I don't know. 23rd.
23rd, okay.
So yeah, you have until November 23rd to get your submissions in, and the winner that we pick will get a free Letterboxd Pro membership. That is a year subscription to Letterboxd Pro that gets you stats for all the movies you logged in your diary, and gets you really just interesting statistics about your movie watching habits. Just in time for the end of the year, because we will be utilizing Letterboxd to create our movies watched 2018 lists and everything.
Yep.
So get those into us by the 23rd of November. By the time this episode drops, it'll be probably a week and a half before. So having said that, anything else, Tony?
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Also, before we get into the actual Letterboxd Potpourri, two more things. Mm-hmm. One is I just want to call attention to some work I've been doing on the website. I have been reorganizing the website a little bit. We haven't, at obsessiveviewer.com, if you go there, you'll find the archives for the podcast and everything, and links to all of the stuff we do, and as well as the donate page and everything. But I recently discovered that I can customize some things on it. So now I've kind of made the kind of links at the top of the website a little more robust. So now if you go, it's still a work in progress, but if you basically go to obsessiveviewer.com and hover over the Obsessive Viewer podcast link, it'll have a drop down that has links to specific categories of episodes. So topic episodes, potpourri, TV episodes, guest episodes. I'm excited because I actually differentiated the guest episodes. So I have guest episodes, which are just people that we have as recurring guests or sometimes one-time guests. Mm-hmm. Which is, we've had a lot of people guest on this podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I also have interview episodes. So that includes interviews with people that have been on the podcast as interview subjects. Thinking Kate Chaplin and Alison Burnett and John Dugan back in the day. So, but I also have another one that's for recurring. How did I phrase it? Recurring co-hosts.
Yes.
Yeah, because I wanted to make we refer to Feckus as frequent guest Robert Feckus, and we refer to Mike as our part-time co-host or co-host who's on sabbatical from the podcast. And then Kirsten has been appearing more and more on the podcast and helped with the Hardline coverage. So I basically have those three people, Feckus, Mike, and Kirsten, on their separate section as recurring co-hosts. So
nice.
Yeah. So there's that. And then also you'll notice that there's columns for us. So I haven't gotten yours posted yet.
Okay.
But I will. But basically it has, right now as I'm recording, it says Mike White's columns. And the reason that it says that is because Mike is hopefully going to be contributing actual written material for the website here soon. So hopefully I'm excited for that, because it's been a while since obsessiveviewer.com has been a blog. So
yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, so anyway, go check out obsessiveviewer.com and check out the, menus and stuff. I've also been upgrading the URLs for all the podcast episodes. So if you go to the archive and click on the first 50, as of right now, it'll be dead links because I haven't updated those links there. But eventually it's going to be that if you want to find an episode of the podcast directly to its blog post, all you will have to do is go to obsessiveviewer.com/OV and then the number of the episode. So, it's been like that for a while. For since the 100th episode, I think, is when I started doing that in real time. But those first 100 episodes don't have that. So I'm working on that backlog. Anyway, I'm excited because, yeah, it's fun. But, here in a couple months, I think I'm going to actually like redesign the website, so it's actually going to look a lot sleeker. So
cool.
I'm excited for that. So yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And Tiny, I keep making this joke. And I feel like it's probably annoying to you
Waiting
at this
for
point.
people to laugh at it.
No, well, yeah. But like, I keep asking you, like, is it okay that like Fecus and Kirsten are like recurring co-hosts?
Yeah.
Are you? Is it okay?
I mean, that's the best way to describe them.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted you to be on record so that when we have our
Yes.
very public falling out,
Right.
yeah.
Fake news.
JK. I don't know what I'd do without you. Probably start more podcasts.
Yeah.
Not really. No. Anyway, so that's what's going on in the Obsessive Viewer, and then I had another thing that I can't remember now.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at OV257.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.